A lot to be proud of, and it all happened so fast, like it's hard to appreciate in the moment.
That is Iowa native and Indiana Fever star, and now Times 2024 Athlete of the Year, Caitlin Clark, looking back at a whirlwind year.
Caitlin Clark just became Times Athlete of the Year, only the second woman since Serena Williams. But behind the scenes, drama you won't believe.
So, Caitlin Clark and Christie Sides. Christie Sides, the first WNBA coach that Caitlin Clark played for. And surprisingly, even though in her recent Time article, she was very positive around WNBA coaches in general. She was very positive around how good the quality of coaching was in the WNBA. But she took a not so subtle jab at Caitlin Clark, at Christie Sides today.
In a tell-all interview, Clark finally breaks her silence. She's dishing on the good, the bad, and the ugly of her historic season. And trust me, you're going to want to hear what she has to say about her former coach, Christie Sides, in this video. We'll share a behind the scenes. Look at their relationship through the lens of Clark's interview, the struggles the team faced, and why the much-needed coaching change will change the trajectory of the Indiana Fever for years to come.
Time magazine recognizes the monster impact Clark had on basketball, saying good luck naming another athlete who altered the trajectory of their entire team sport within 5 months on the job.
Caitlin Clark, a small-town Iowa girl, stepped onto the WNBA court and changed everything. Her journey from college superstar to WNBA rookie was nothing short of revolutionary. Clark's college career was a record-breaking spectacle. In 2024, she shattered both the NCAA division, won women's basketball scoring record, and Pete Maravich as overall college scoring mark. For any player, male or female,
history. She does it with a foul shot. Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time leading scorer in major college basketball history. Passing pistol Pete.
The hype surrounding her WNBA draft was intense, and all eyes turned to Indiana. As Clark prepared for her WNBA debut, expected and soared, fans, analysts, and fellow players wondered, could she live up to the hype? Could she translate her college success to the pro level? And could her coach and team handle what was coming? The answer came swiftly. Clark's impact on the league was immediate and undeniable. WNBA attendance skyrocketed, with fans flocking to see the phenom in action. But the transition wasn't easy. The WNBA's pace was faster, the players stronger, and the game more complex than anything Clark had faced before. It was a whole new ballgame, and she, her team, and her coach had to adapt quickly.
We were just sick that we had lost so many games, and also feeling like we were better than that.
As the season progressed, Clark's game evolved. She studied defensive strategies and adjusted her play style, outsmarting even the most experienced defenders, her teammates, and her coach. Christie Sides also adjusted to the once-in-a-generation play style of Clark. Some would even say Sides just let Clark run the show. Her hard work paid off. Clark was named Rookie of the Year and First Team, all WNBA, breaking 62 records along the way, and proving she could excel among the pros. She had faced the fire and emerged stronger, more skilled, and more determined than ever. But while Clark was making waves on the court, her team was facing struggles of its own. The Indiana Fever's journey was about to take an unexpected turn, one that would test Clark's resolve and shape the future of the franchise.
Obviously, I don't think Caitlin Clark had anything to do with Christie Sides firing. I think Christie Sides' inability to coach basketball had everything to do with her firing, and I mean that. I think the reason why Christie Sides got fired is because she's not a very good basketball coach. And I think that if you put in any sort of competent basketball mind, you can tell she's not a very good basketball coach.
While Caitlin Clark dazzled on the court, a different drama unfolded on the sidelines. The Fever's head coach, Christie Sides, found herself at the centre of a growing controversy. How could a team with so much promise struggle so mightily under her leadership? Christie Sides took the reins of the Indiana Fever with high hopes. Her coaching philosophy emphasized defensive intensity and a slower, more controlled pace of play. It seemed like a solid strategy on paper, but as the season unfolded, cracks began to appear in the foundation.
You don't know how to use Caitlin Clark's strengths, you don't know how to play to her weaknesses, you don't know how to draw up a simple out-of-bounds play, you don't know how to calm down muddy waters, you don't know how to call a timeout and relax everybody's emotions, you don't know how to talk to the referees. All you know how to do is wave your arms and defensive slide on the sidelines. And Christie Sides, I'm tired of seeing it every single game.
The Fever's early season struggles were hard to ignore, despite having one of the most talented rookies in WNBA history in Caitlin Clark. The team stumbled out of the gate. Sides' rigid offensive system clashed with Clark's dynamic playing style, leading to frustration both on and off the court. It was like watching a Ferrari stuck in rush hour traffic. All that potential with nowhere to go.
A lot of the things she did well were like good assistant coach things. Things you want from a good assistant coach. Not your head coach. Was she good in game adjustments? No. Was she good at making subs? No. Was she good at making seeing what the other teams were doing and game planning for that? No.
Number one of the most glaring issues was Sides' reluctance to adapt her game plans in a pivotal match up against the Connecticut Sun. The Fever's defense fell apart due to poor communication and a lack of clear direction. Easy scoring opportunities for the Sun exposed the flaws in Sides' defensive philosophy. It wasn't just one bad game. This pattern repeated itself throughout the season.
Imagine if you were like a coach from the 80s and you got bumped into today's basketball and it's just, go stop your man, go stop your man. She was a motivational speaker, but listen to what Caitlin Clark said. Clark knows she can get better. She expresses admirations for Clark's game plans against the Fever. We didn't usually have the best game plan back, Clark said when White stopped by the gym during her workout. Here's a ball screen. Caitlin, figure it out.
Clark, known for her sharp basketball IQ, couldn't help but notice the tactical shortcomings in her candid interview with Time. She dropped a subtle but telling criticism. We didn't usually have the best game plan back coming from the team's star player. Those words carried serious weight, but the problems didn't stop there. Sides struggled to manage player rotations and game emotions effectively. You would often see the starters playing the entire game, or benched for very puzzling reasons. Remember that LA game...
Christie Sides' incompetence is why that game ended up that way. She doesn't call a timeout for about a 17-minute span from the 7+ minute mark of the third quarter to about the final minute of the fourth quarter.
Fans and analysts alike began to voice their concerns. The sentiment was clear. Sides was holding the team back. Some even went as far as to label her one of the worst coaches in WNBA history. One particularly harsh comment described her as the kryptonite to Caitlin Clark's Superman powers. Ouch. As the season progressed, the pressure mounted Sides' inability to make in-game adjustments became glaringly obvious. Critical moments slipped away due to poor decision-making, leaving players and fans alike scratching their heads. It was like watching a chess match where one side refused to move their pieces. The game was lost before it even began.
My favourite part is that the not-so-subtle shot that Caitlin Clark took at Christie Sides was literally, in my opinion, the one play when Marina Maber hit that three, the reason why they lost that game. I've always said this from the start. They have no philosophy on defense. They have no philosophy on how to play screens. They have no philosophy on when to switch, when to go under, when to fight over. Everybody was out there winging it on defense. Her defensive philosophy was make sure the other team scores less points than us.
But here's where things get interesting. Despite all the struggles and setbacks, something magical happened. The Fever, against all odds, started to improve. Maybe it was the sheer talent of players like Clark Aaliyah, Boston, Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hall. Maybe it was the team's determination to succeed in spite of the obstacles. Whatever the reason, the Fever clawed their way back into playoff contention for the first time since 2016. The Indiana Fever made it to the postseason. It was a remarkable turnaround considering where they started, but even as they celebrated this achievement, there was a sense that something was still missing. The team had succeeded not because of their coach, but in spite of her.
Christie Sides is like someone who has never played the sport of basketball, asking ChatGPT to run some stuff, and she would look up YouTube. She would go onto YouTube and look up type in plays to get shooters open and then run them sometimes. I'm not joking when I say that was the Christie Sides system. The Christie Sides system could have been replaced by someone in the stand using ChatGPT. Like she was the worst coach in pro basketball.
The writing was on the wall as the dust settled on their playoff run. The Fever's management knew they needed to make a change. Sides had led them to the postseason, sure, but at what cost? The team's potential was far greater than what they had shown to truly compete for a championship. They needed a coach who could unlock that potential. So as the off-season began, the Fever made their move. They parted ways with Christie Sides, signaling the end of a tumultuous chapter in the team's history. But this ending was just the beginning of something new. The Fever were ready to turn the page and start fresh with a superstar like Caitlin Clark on the roster. They knew they needed a coach who could match that level of talent.
I mean this when I say this. She was a good motivational speaker. The lady never did any good for her. No wonder why she didn't respect her. Like, I'm sorry, if you're a basketball player and you've come from Lisa Bluter, Dawn, or Emma, and you're coming into the Fever, and your coach is then telling you to wing it. Your coach is literally telling you to wing it on the defensive end. And your coach who would constantly preach defense. No, she didn't preach defense. She literally preached defense in a way of, if we concede less than, her defense philosophy was we need to concede less than 84 points.
The search was on for someone who could take the Fever to the next level. Someone who could harness the power of Clark's generational talent and build a true contender. Little did they know, the perfect candidate was just around the corner, ready to usher in a new era of Fever basketball. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
I gotta give credit to the Indiana Fever for not saying mediocre is enough.
I got to give credit to the Indiana Fever for not saying mediocre is enough. The Indiana Fever needed more than just a new coach. They needed a visionary. Enter Stephanie White, a woman with a plan to revolution, and not just the team, but potentially the entire WNBA. White's return to the Fever is like a homecoming with 25 years of history as both a player and coach for Indiana. She knows the organization inside and out. But don't think for a second that this familiarity means more of the same. White is ready to shake things up, and her track record proves she's got the chops to do it. Just look at what she did with the Connecticut Sun in her very first season. White led the team to a top 3 finish in the league. Her reward Coach of the Year honors. That's the kind of instant impact the Fever are hoping for. And White seems poised to deliver.
I also want our players to use their instincts and to play free. You know, we want to make plays, not run plays, right? We want to have sets that give us certain spacing that we want, depending upon our rotations, who's on the floor, who we want to attack, what matchups we want to get to, how can we manipulate them. So we'll have certain play calls that just give us space to operate, and then whichever play we make, whichever pass we make, determines, you know, one of 3 actions that our players can read from. And so really giving them the freedom to play within a system.
But here's where things get really exciting. White's coaching philosophy is all about unleashing player potential. Gone are the days of rigid play calling and by-the-books strategies. White wants her players to use their instincts to play with pace and to make decisions based on the flow of the game. It's basketball as a living, breathing thing, not just X's and O's on a whiteboard. This approach couldn't be more different from Christie Sides of style, where sides emphasize control and set plays. White is all about creating an environment where players can shine. And for a generational talent like Caitlin Clark, this could be the key that unlocks a whole new level of greatness.
Started watching Caitlin Clark when she was in the 8th grade when I was at Vanderbilt. And then I called a lot of her games in college when she was at Iowa. And so I've really watched her continue to learn and grow, and I have great relationships with her college coaches and had multiple conversations with them throughout the course of her career about what the next steps would be, right, and what the next level would be.
White's already got plans for how to use Clark's unique skill set. She's talking about a structured system that emphasizes spacing and player movement. But within that structure, Clark will have the freedom to operate, to create, to be the basketball wizard we all know she can be. But White's vision goes beyond just Clark. She's looking at the bigger picture, aiming to develop Clark into a great leader for the Fever. When you have 3 foundational players and your big 3 have that mindset, have that mentality, great things can happen, White says. She's not just building a team, she's crafting a dynasty.
These players got great experience in the playoffs this year. They're all hungry to grow and hungry to improve and hungry to be coached and hungry to win. And when you have 3 foundational players and your big 3 that have that mindset, have that mentality, and great things can happen.
The greatest lesson of all time is to let them have a voice. And I think so many coaches don't do that. You know, and when you have players like the ones you had in Kinetic, I think, you know, when they know. And if you don't do what they want to do, they'll also say, she's doing it wrong.
Not bringing in, you know, my system and my style, and this is the way that we're going to do it, but really adapting and blending some of what we wanted to do or thought we could do with what they had already done that's been very successful. Our job then as coaches to continue to put them in positions to succeed, and our job as a franchise to put the pieces around them that will fill some of the gaps and fill some of the holes, and ultimately our goal is to win championships and to hang banners.
Future is so bright, and our ultimate goal is to hang another banner in the field house. And our ultimate goal is to come back in here after we win that championship and celebrate again like we did in 2012.
Looking ahead, the basketball world can't wait to see what Clark will do next. She's not just racking up impressive stats. She's become a true inspiration for the sport, drawing in new players and fans alike. The combination of Clark's incredible talent and White's fresh coaching approach has the Fever on the brink of something special. The team's journey from struggling franchise to potential contender is capturing attention across the WNBA as Clark continues to grow and the team comes together under White's guidance. Indiana basketball is headed for exciting times. The future looks bright and fans can't wait to see what unfolds in the seasons to come. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.